Okay, we're gonna try something a little bit different this time around. Instead of doing a voiceover, I'm just gonna talk in the camera. We're gonna see how it goes. But I'm making a table for some friends out of some walnut slabs. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I milled up the leg material. It's 3 inches thick, 6 inches wide. It's gonna be an X base, so pretty simple, but made a cross brace right here that will go in between the X's just to prevent racking. And they wanted it to be pretty stout because they've got 2 sons that are pretty stout themselves, and so they wanted this to basically be indestructible. Okay, so the joke's on me and you. I got a little too into this project to record myself, so I'm gonna add a voiceover. But what I'm doing here is just cutting the angles on the top and the bottoms of the legs, and I probably could have found a smoother way to finish off the cut than using this little flush trim saw in a second, but it got the job done, so we'll move on from there. The next step, making the legs, was trying to figure out the math for this cross section right here, which I think I got it figured out. I still need to clean it up, but a combination of the table saw, the chisel, using the router, and trying not to get too messy, but we might be able to make this work. Okay, so got math figured out. I don't really know what the actual angles are, but a combination of getting things marked out, got the setup and the blade height set just right to cut to this depth, and then take the chisel, knock out a lot of material, use the router to clean it up, and our almost finished setup is here. Need to do a little bit of cleanup just because there's a little edge right there, but for the most part we're getting it figured out, so hopefully by the end of the day should be able to have these legs maybe sanded and glued up. In this part, I'm just getting the half lap joints cut for where I'm gonna slide the legs together. Did this in a few different steps to give me the cleanest outcome. Took a handful of tries sneaking up on the fit, but I think in the end it was a lot better than trying to go for the perfect fit on shot number 1. Okay, so I got the base sanded. Didn't feel like showing that because it's not fun to watch, but I was able to get it sanded, got joinery together, got it glued up, And so this is kind of what I was talking about, is we've got a pretty simple X base, half lap joints to connect the vertical parts, and then did a loose mortise or a floating mortise and tenon to connect the supports going across, just to add a little bit of rigidity to the base, and that'll give me some extra spaces to connect the tabletop to the base. But those boards over there are gonna go across here to allow me to do some threaded inserts. But overall, going well. I think it's turning out better than anticipated. I made the decision with the base to put some supports across the top perpendicular to the table. So what I'm doing here is just taking my router, hogging out that material. I didn't have a wide enough plate on my router, so you can see in this part I left some material so that my router would ride flat, and then I just came back with the chisel and just knocked pieces out. And even though this was a little time consuming, it honestly was pretty satisfying to snap all these little chunks out. As we get to the final stages of this project, we get to knock out some sanding on the top and the bottom, and went through 80 grit, 120, 150, and I think I'll talk about that in a second. But I also went through and smoothed out the live edge just with a nylon wheel in my drill, and then came back with sandpaper and continued to just make that a little safer for the kids that are going to be running around it. So I've done 2 of 3 rounds of sanding. Went through 80 grit, 120. Need to do 150 still, but I went ahead and to get rid of some of the excess sawdust, put some mineral spirits on, but you get kind of a glimpse of the color of the table. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome. And then we also got the base coated with some General Finishes Enduro poly. Turned out pretty good. It's nice and smooth. That red oak with it's kind of coarse grain always looks super nice when it's dyed, stained, painted black, whatever color you or term you prefer. But we're making some good progress. So it's these next steps that I'm probably going to have to improve on capturing the finished product, but I really love the way this table turned out, and I think my friends are going to be able to use it for many years to come.